start. So, really good start. We're up 1. Ooh, man. In my stream, viewers have the option to spend channel points in order to battle me in a best of 1 scenario. Last week, Krebs decided to cash in on this and try and run it back with a grudge match for the record books. Welcome to the Bauer Battle Breakdown, where introspection is how we learn. Now, the most interesting thing on Krebs' team is one of the Pokemon that he led with, this Herdier. Now, I'm vaguely aware of some of Herdier's nonsense. It's able to intimidate, snarl, baby doll eyes, perhaps Thunderwave, but on its face, it doesn't look like he has any good way to stop my Trick Room from going up. And since he has a very fast team, I decide to go ahead and Parting Shot and attempt to set up Trick Room. Now, I thought that he was trying to stop Trick Room with a Dark Pulse Flinch. However, his plan to stop Trick Room was actually a lot more devious than that. I Parting Shot successfully into my Cali Ice, and then Herdier roars Porygon straight off the field before it's able to get Trick Room set up. So now I'm in kind of an interesting spot. I have Calyrex, who does not want to be in front of Yveltal at any point, unless Trick Room is up. So I decide I'm going to go ahead and protect it, and then I want to go ahead and just do another Parting Shot. I picked Flare Blitz for a second. As you can tell, I'm not really certain what I want to do. Yveltal goes away, Zacian comes out, and I think, awesome, this is going to be a great Parting Shot opportunity. Calyrex is going to protect. I can at least work on repositioning myself, because this whole start of the game is going to be just about me trying to position and get Trick Room up. And then something that I didn't even notice during the live game, Roar actually goes through Protect. I didn't know this. I protected, still got roared out. But now I'm in an interesting position where Incineroar has access to Fake Out, and Palkia can set Trick Room. So I commit myself to sacrificing Palkia if necessary in order to try and get Trick Room up. Unfortunately, Herdier will get the last laugh because it will get to do a Helping Hand before the Fake Out even connects. Incineroar will take some damage, but Trick Room goes up. Now that I have Trick Room up, I decide that I want to get rid of the Herdier, who's been a thorn in my side since the start of this game. I'm not sure if it was the best call, however, it ended up working out okay because the Zacian ended up switching out for the Yveltal because it was -1 instead of the +1 that it usually comes in at. Herdier gets Snarl because it is slower than us under Trick Room, but I'm able to get the double up and the KO. I'm not sure if the critical hit actually mattered here, but my opponent then brings out their Urshifu. I debate over this for a second. I edited out some of the selection that I did. I decided Parting Shot the Yveltal, and I also decided that it was a good time to Dynamax Palkia. I feel like I may have done this too early, but more notably, since my opponent is running the Water Urshifu, I'm going to give up Incineroar for free this turn. It does have access to Aqua Jet. This is something that I should have seen coming from basically a mile away. This Aqua Jet's going to come in. I'm going to lose Incineroar, and our respective max Pokemon are going to start firing their moves off. I'm going to Quake. This is going to bring the Urshifu down to Sash with a critical hit, and I'll get the special defense boost, which I feel is going to be very important here, going toe-to-toe with Yveltal. A little bit of Life Orb Recall, and now Cali is in. Now that I have Calyrex in and Trick Room is up, it's time to close in on Krebs' Yveltal. You'll notice that I checked the Trick Room turns, seeing that there were in fact 2 left, and you're going to witness something kind of interesting. I'm going to tell you what Krebs told me about it here in a second, but Yveltal max guards and Urshifu is going to detect. He thought that this was the last turn of Trick Room. He actually miscounted. So this turn is going to be a wash. Both Pokemon will block. And I decide that I should attempt the same thing again. I'm going to Glacial Lance, and I'm going to max Geyser into the Yveltal slot. The reason that I chose Geyser is I was afraid of the Quake Wormwind selection that I would have to make, but the more that I look at it, the more I realize that there's no reason for Krebs to switch in Zacian on the Yveltal slot. It should have been a Wormwind to lower the attack of the Zacian if it decided to switch in, which it did. You're going to see Yveltal barely survive. So unfortunately, that means I'm going to lose Calyrex for free. And all of a sudden, that Snarl that Herdier did earlier in order to clip my Palkia is way more significant. Thankfully, Yveltal goes down to Life Orb Recoil, and now I'm at this really weird endgame. Trick Room expires, Dynamax ends. In this endgame state, I'm left without Trick Room. Both of his Pokemon are faster than both of mine. I decide it's very pertinent to try and get rid of this Urshifu with Foul Play above setting Trick Room with Porygon 2, because Urshifu has already revealed Aqua Jet at this point. So if I were to set Trick Room, I would be giving Urshifu that attack anyway. I attempt to set it with Palkia. Unfortunately, Palkia does not survive to get the Trick Room off, but I will be able to take out the Urshifu. So at this point, it appears like it might just be a matter of how well I can recover off the damage from Sacred Sword, because I do get Trick Room up, and it becomes kind of a damage race, or at least it appears to. Because the Zacian has Quick Attack, and it's just over. As you can see, Krebs was in fact successful in picking up the win. There are two things that I want to talk about for this game. First one involves the lead. Inevitably, we all run across those teams, whether in ladder or best of 3 situations, where there's a Pokemon on it that's a little bit less common. We're not as familiar with what it's capable of or what it most commonly does because we just haven't seen it. In these scenarios, it is best to just shut them down. If you have Fake Out, if you have Taunt, those are my 2 favorite moves for if you don't know what something does, just stop it. I made a mistake on the lead because I thought that I could simply set Trick Room with Porygon 2, and I was at liberty to Parting Shot with Incineroar, whereas if I'm more aggressively committed to stopping Herdier from taking action, I could have done the Fake Out instead, Roar never would have happened, and I would have gotten my Trick Room up right away. The other thing that I want to talk about involves the turn right before both Dynamaxes were over. Right after the Max Guard, Palkia and Yveltal both have 1 turn of Dynamax, and I made the decision to Max Geyser into the Yveltal slot instead of Max Wormwind. There is such a thing as being too safe. There is a big concern with running Dynamax Palkia because it has a Dragon move and a Ground move. Now, Zacian is immune to the Dragon moves, and Yveltal is immune to the Ground moves. So I figure, okay, Max Geyser, it's my water move, it's the safest bet. There was absolutely no purpose to doing anything other than Max Wormwind. In order for my opponent to switch out their Yveltal into Zacian in order to absorb that Wormwind, they have to give up their last turn of Dynamax and a free kill on Calyrex just to block the move. And if I'd done anything else, he looks like an idiot. It's an overread. There's no point in playing it that close to the vest when I should have just done the Max Wormwind and get the attack drop on the partner, which turned out to be Zacian, and it would have set me up a lot better for that endgame. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Bauer Battle Breakdown. If you'd like to see another video, I've got one for you right here. That's my time. I'll see you next week.